All right, so we are on chapter 10 of our NEWT level book club. And as always, I think we talked about this last time a little bit, but it just seems shady that McGonagall bought Harry the best broomstick in the world. I still can't get over that. I still think that she bought it. I mean, there's like theories about this where, you know, Dumbledore bought it or they used money in Harry's vault. That seems worse, if I'm being honest. Worse than a gift. Like, let me just willingly go into someone's vault and then take their money and then buy a gift. Buy the best broomstick in the world.
You mean Quidditch hooligan Mick Gambler bought Harry a great broom for a seeker? Yeah, okay.
I know. I never thought of it as honestly, as a kid, I never even thought about like who bought the broom for him. I was just like, oh, he needed a broom. They helped him get a broom. Like it never really occurred to me.
It is still crazy that they get like the best broom. It's like there's no middle ground. You're just completely sold on this kid. All your chips are in one basket. All your eggs are in one basket. Your chips are in the table. Mixing metaphors.
Chips are on the table.
Yeah. You're all in on this one kid getting the best broomstick.
Which definitely feeds the theory of like there's got to be money on this somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah. Mick Gambler has a shit ton of money because. Sorry for the swearing.
You're good.
Mick Gambler has.
We're allowed one per podcast.
We've burned it all.
Yeah, she has a ton of money because she has free room and board at the castle, at least during the school year. Plus, she's getting paid. And then, I don't know, she's probably been working there for a long time, so she's just been saving up.
That's true. The S&P 500 is really carrying her.
Yeah, what does she really need to buy? Like new hats every once in a while?
Yeah. I wonder what the professor's salaries are. Like how many are living at the school versus not living at the school? Are all of them living on campus?
At least through the school year they do.
Because Neville
Except for Hagrid.
Neville has a cool gig. When he's a professor, he lives above the Three Broomsticks with Hannah. Because Hannah's the bartender, I think, of the Three Broomsticks.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's great. I think all the students think he's really cool because he does that. But I'm like, are they all just living on campus? Why are none of them married?
At least during the school year. During breaks or summertime, I think they have their own places that they go to.
Hooch definitely doesn't. Oh, she's leaving the minute class ends.
One class. Oh, yes.
Yeah. One of the biggest questions that I think everyone has in this chapter, but why doesn't Hermione? This is the very end of the chapter, so we're gonna skip all over the place. Why doesn't Hermione tell the truth?
No idea. That would have probably not lost any point, but I don't know why she told the lie.
Yeah.
I think it was to show like, hey, I'm on your guys' side.
Yeah, that's the whole reason she was in there crying. Because she doesn't have any friends, and so
yeah, the embarrassment about why she was in there, on top of just being like, oh, it's all my fault. I tried to fight it.
That always struck me as really bizarre.
One reason I can think of is because one reason that I can think of is because Ron and Harry locked the door from outside. So probably to save them.
How does that correlate though?
No idea. Just reaching.
It always struck me as weird. I mean, I personally feel like maybe, I think I said this on even the podcast. I think maybe Hermione's in such like euphoria that people came to her aid, and like that was when she kind of realized that they were friends, and all like logic and rationale got like removed itself from her brain. But I don't know. I feel like that's not necessarily the character of Hermione. It's a funny little lie that she tells here.
She did panic. Like, which is not very Hermione-like. But I think it's just because it's 11-year-old Hermione.
Yeah. What did you guys see in this chapter? What were some questions that you had, or what were some interesting little tidbits? We can break down Quidditch with their point system all chapter long if you guys want. But what else did you guys see?
I think it was irresponsible of Quirrell to alert everybody to the troll. He should have just let it roam around and have somebody else sort of come upon it, and then alert everybody, and then that person would alert everybody.
Maybe it would have bought him more time or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Maybe.
Yeah, and he wouldn't be on Snape's radar at that point.
Okay, so and someone shot down this theory a while ago, but what about the theory that good old Quirrell is the subject of travels with trolls? Lockhart stole his memory from trolls, from his troll hunting, and wrote his entire book on travels and trolls, and the real subject was Quirrell.
I don't know. I feel like Lockhart would probably eliminate his entire memory of ever working with trolls instead of just selectively removing a particular story that he wanted to tell. But since Quirrell still has an aptitude for trolls, I think,
Yeah.
What was Lockhart's book title for the vampires?
Voyages with Vampires.
Yeah. I think that might have been Quirrell too, if you're gonna go down this route.
No, I mean he has an affinity for troll. That's the one thing that we know Quirrell is good at, is trolls. Not necessarily good with vampires.
That he got his stutter because he got frightened by vampires.
Yeah, so he got frightened by vampires. The Voyages with Vampires would have been written about him, but Lockhart knows he got frightened, so he's like, oh, I got to pick someone else who's better with vampires. His book would be real short if it was Voyages with Vampires. It'd be like, oh, I got really scared of vampires, and then I left. I don't know why. I always like the little headcanon that I think he might have been the subject, or maybe at least knew the subject or something like that, of Voyages or of Travels with Trolls.
Yeah, or maybe he didn't even wipe his memory and just worked together with Quirrell and then gave Quirrell half the money.
Wow. I like it.
I don't know, I think that's a decent headcanon.
Yeah, I think Lockhart and Rita Skeeter have very similar tactics. I think they both know how to get things they want out of people. So I see Lockhart as more of an investigative journalist than anything. So he probably canoodled Quirrell to get what he wanted out of it.
It's definitely one kind of investigative journalism. They're both really strange journalists, I guess. Because I guess Lockhart is more primarily a journalist than anything else because he's writing books and stories. But he's definitely not a legitimate one. But that's interesting that you classify them as that. Their methods are kind of pretty similar.
Yeah, but their methods are so transparent. I don't see why nobody else sees through this.
Yeah.
It's
because if you're a good writer, you can get away with being like a shitty person sometimes, I think.
Her writing's not even good.
Wait, so
she has an autoquill that like expounds on things for her.
Yeah.
It's like AI writing.
I feel like that's personalized though. That's the one thing that I think is a little different about what her pen does. I feel like it's personalized to her, and it's like caught on to her writing style very distinctly more than anybody else.
It's like a fragment of her personality,
yeah,
like embodied into like a pen.
Yeah. Like I wonder if she has to like draw blood.
Got it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I wonder if like
maybe it's like a pencil where like you imbue some of her memory into the pen.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. She had to give a blood sample before she was able to write with the pen.
Yeah, that seems to make no sense.
Okay, this is when Harry also learns the rules of Quidditch. And maybe this question is unbelievably boring to you, but to me it's really fascinating. Is the snitch too many points?
No.
No.
Yes.
I don't.
Yep.
Nemo's like, yes.
That's
Why?
cool.
Because 150 is a lot. That's why.
I know, but like, okay,
it's
Especially
only
like
15. It's only 15
they,
goals.
That's
I mean,
the thing.
Yeah,
Like,
they
would it
still
sound
caught
better
the
if it was
snitch,
like
and they
every
still lost.
score was
So
one?
No, so that's what I'm saying. Is the rules should be different for something like a school level thing, which doesn't last for 3 months,
Mm.
and something like a World Cup, which lasts for a very long time.
Not the what was it? The 442nd World Cup, or one of those. And that one didn't last that long. That one is pretty short. There's, I don't know, being like a big sports nerd. This one fascinates me. Nemo, I kind of like your point, but I wouldn't equate it to the length of the match. I feel like more pro levels are scoring exorbitantly more points than a school level.
Yeah, that's basically, yeah.
Yeah, because the chasers aren't great. So I'm like, for school level, for like something down a little lower, I wouldn't mind the point for the snitch being a little less, because maybe they're scoring a little bit less. But I feel like when you get to the pro level, like Ireland, they're scoring at will. Like 15 goals for them is like 10 minutes work. You know, it's like easy stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a smaller field too. So maybe lower it to like 80.
Yeah.
Yeah, 50 or 80, something like that.
Well, that's the thing. I think with Quidditch, people aren't willing to think outside the box of how to improve the game. You know, like with basketball, everyone's like, "Oh, we got no defense anymore." Well, like, okay, then think about how you would adjust that. So in this case, like, oh, the snitch is too much. So maybe let's, make the hoops, I don't know, farther apart, or make the hoops bigger, so it's easier for the chasers to get, to score more, and so kind of even out at least at a school level. And then as you get more professional, then you can, start making the hoop smaller, so that you balance out the offense as you go. It's kind of like WNBA versus NBA. You change the distance of the 3-point line, and you change the size of the ball. You can make the quaffle smaller, maybe for Hogwarts level of Quidditch.
Yeah.
You gotta think about
make the bludgers a little slower.
Yeah. I kind of like that.
Yeah. But this also brings up biggest problem that I have with movie watchers is that one line in the movie. You catch this, Potter, you win the game.
Yeah.
And everybody that just watches the movies assumes
Yeah.
that
Nothing
so
else
it's just
matters.
An automatic win.
that's not exactly true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they don't even show the World Cup, so how would you know it?
Yep.
If you don't.
I know.
That's
if you
true.
catch
Weren't,
it?
like, that was such a very mad about that, because I was very looking forward to that, and I'm sure a lot of people were, and they literally just skip over it in 10 seconds, and you're just like, what just happened? Like, y'all built this whole like campground, and like you're not even like gonna walk us around it and show us that. I don't know.
Most people that I know are happy that they skipped that part because they don't like the Quidditch chapter so much. They're like, I'm great without the Quidditch World Cup. I'm glad to just bypass that. Me too.
But there's a way that
tents and stuff like that. I wanted to see that because it was so well described in the book, and I don't know. It was very annoying.
Yeah,
like
and
probably the
there's
best chapter in the series.
they just had to spend like 5 to 10 minutes on it. It wouldn't matter that much.
Yeah, the fourth. I mean, we all agree the fourth movie should have been split into 2 movies. So
yeah,
that's one of my things too. I love that section in Goblet, because I remember going to see my first basketball and soccer game because I played those sports, and then seeing pros and the level that they could play at. And I love Harry's like astonishment with the Irish chasers. He's like, they move in unison. They're like so good together. And I love that aspect of like him watching, being a pretty good seeker himself, and like being amazed with how good these people are.
Being that next level.
Yeah, for sure. Because like that's definitely the case. If you play any sports and you play someone who's like on the next level, you can noticeably see how good this person is and how far you have left to go. and it's like a fun experience, I think. If you guys, okay, this is like another niche question, but they asked this on binge mode once, and I have not been able to stop thinking about this question. It was, if you could moneyball Quidditch, like if you could kind of rig Quidditch to be a little bit different, like if you were a coach of a Quidditch team and you had to kind of figure out a different tactic or strategy to win Quidditch, how would you guys attack it?
To win Quidditch or to win bets?
To win Quidditch. To win bets. No, so Moneyball is essentially analytics baseball. It's like it's how Billy Bean kind of like tried to beat the system by buying runs rather than buying the best players.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I think you go full hockey mode and you go like, okay, power play time, and then keeper goes as a fourth chaser. I think that's unstoppable. Like having an extra offensive player is actually, that's like having 6 NBA players play against 5 NBA players. Like when you have such low numbers on the court, it makes such a huge difference. And so, I mean, and at the end of the day, I mean, that Bulgarian keeper could do nothing against the Irish chasers. So might as well go help the other chasers.
Yeah.
Nothing to do.
I also think just like organized plays so that the beaters are on each side of any chaser that would have the ball. But you plan out the passes. So the beaters just jump from chaser to chaser until they reach the goal.
I feel like some teams would definitely have that kind of strategy, like complete play calling. Like, I'm curious what plays would look like in Quidditch. This is the stuff that keeps me up at night. Everyone's like, Quidditch chapters are so boring. I'm like, all right, if I were a coach,
really I think it'd be really similar to like lacrosse or
I feel like there's a good comparison.
Similar to, or even basketball. It'd probably be more similar to basketball plays.
I like the idea too. Go ahead, Nima.
I've seen like a real life Quidditch game, like these universities where they have like Quidditch games.
Yeah.
It's very entertaining. But anyway, I was just thinking about coming up with plays because I'm sure they're doing the same thing. Like, I almost want to like pick one of their brains and be like, okay, well, what would you do? You know, because you're actually playing. I mean, it's on the ground. I mean, but.
Well, Danny went to it. Danny went to the Quidditch World Cup, which they call it quad ball now. He went to the Quidditch World Cup this year. And he was like talking. He said he talked to some players and stuff like that. I'm like, it's so cool, it's so nerdy.
So cool. I don't know. I like it. I think it's only our fan base would do this.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Still do it. Figure out a way to make them fly.
I know. How entertaining would this game be if we could actually make broomsticks fly?
Extremely interesting.
Yeah.
It would be.
I'm all about it.
I mean, if you had that kind of technology, might as well use it to revolutionize other things. Don't stop at broomsticks.
Flying carpets.
My only thing is, what do they do if they drop the quaffle?
Go down and scoop it up.
Why? You got magic.
Is there like a delay of game? Ref has to pick it up and like toss it again, or do they just go down to the ground and just pick it up real quick?
I think they probably go down to the ground. I mean, isn't there a charm on the quaffle that makes it kind of easier to hold, so you can kind of palm it? I think I read that in Quidditch of the Ages, where like there's a charm that makes it easier to hold, and so you can kind of speed along with it without it kind of,
but you can't. Too easily. You don't catch 100% of the time.
Oh, for sure.
You're doing a pass and stuff, so.
Yeah. I wish we had like a transcription of Quidditch of the Ages right here, so we could like analyze the rules. I'm wondering whether beaters can touch the quaffle. Is that allowed?
Yeah, I know some of the rules. Like, no one is allowed to touch the snitch except for the seeker. If anybody does, it's completely like disqualification or something like that. So that's why some people had their strategy initially was like, you put all 4 people, like 4 people on your team were just looking for the seeker or looking for the snitch. Right. But you can still do that, but then the seeker then has to be the only one that touches it. I think the same is true with beaters. I don't think beaters can actually touch the quaffle. So it's interesting how you can like shift the different rules, make it more interesting to me.
Yeah, that's another thing that happens in the movies though. That one guy just gets the beater stick and
Yeah.
launches the bludger.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you can't do that. And like, no fouls are ever called.
Yeah.
Yeah, movies
And
have no fouls.
Yeah.
yeah, and yeah, so a lot of movie watchers just think, what, this game doesn't have any rules except for score points and catch a snitch. But if you catch a snitch, you win entirely. Doesn't matter what the other person scores.
Honestly, Quidditch, I think they should stack Quidditch a little bit more. Put one more beater in there, put two more chasers, and like you could do power plays. You can make it more hockey oriented. Because I feel like Quidditch would be such a fun, fast game. Like hockey's so fun for me to watch because it's so fast. There's so much action. You do line changes, power plays, all sorts of things. I feel like Quidditch could kind of be like that too.
Yeah, that's the issue. There's no bench. I mean,
Yeah.
There's no like. I mean, once you run out of your stamina, I mean, the game must be terrible to watch as a fan. I mean,
Yeah.
Players get tired.
Which that was another interesting one because there's no subs, but in one of the matches they mentioned that they had to sub players off so they can sleep.
Yeah, so in the pros they have subs, but not in the school.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
That's crazy.
You know what bothers me the most? In the Quidditch chapter, it says that there are about 700 fouls in Quidditch, and that all of them happened in some 1400s game, which means in the 500 years there has been no rule changes, no additional fouls added, which means that the methods are all archaic. So stupid.
I love that. I would love to have all those rules and just to read those rules to see what they are. I'm sure some of them are absurd.
I have a list of fouls here.
Well, JK also said that she only made the Quidditch things because her boyfriend at the time was watching too much football or soccer.
Yeah. And she said this
She just
about
doesn't
the
understand sports.
Yeah, that's one thing. But then, to be honest, so she made this game based around life as well, which is another reason why I love it, because I think someone had this discussion with her, like in like a forum or something. They were asking her why it's worth too many points, why the snitch is worth too many points, and she's like, because that's life. Because you could be doing incredible, you could be 140 points up, and then all of a sudden someone gets lucky, and you're screwed, and you just have to deal with it. And I love that it's like more of a game of life.
It just sucks because life isn't fair.
Exactly.
Like, you want it to be perfect. All it is doesn't sense reasonable. Like,
yeah.
Wait, I have a quick question about the whole Quidditch tryout thing. Like, why didn't we hear about Quidditch tryouts before the 6th book?
Yeah, that's a great point.
That really bugs me because it seems like something that like you think would have been mentioned. I don't know. It just the fact that each team player has to like try out for their spot each year, because if that wasn't I don't know. It just bugged me.
Well,
we learned about it in the 5th book, right?
Like maybe I'm just missing something. Somebody please enlighten me on this. Like, did I miss something?
Yeah, I think they might have been mentioned before, but like Harry was scouted. It's like,
yeah, oh for sure.
You're just good. You're solid.
Yeah.
His
And
tryout was catching the Remembrall for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the fact that, like, I mean, if he was scouted, like, he didn't have to try out for his position each year. Whereas Ron had to try out for keeper.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Because we had McLagan. And so I'm like, okay, well,
the year
Ron just sucks so much. So like maybe we could change the rules now and get a better keeper.
Also,
that was a nice way of saying it. Ron, I still want to be your friend.
The year that Harry became captain, so many kids, so many players on the team either left the school or they left the school or they graduated.
Yeah, because
like a majority of their team needed to be rebuilt. Maybe that was the reason why.
Yeah,
they had a very young team. The first 3 years of Harry's Quidditch life, no one left the team. It was just a unit. And then his 4th year, obviously no Quidditch.
Okay, so that could be the reason why.
Yeah,
then, I guess.
But I think either way, Wood was not a great captain for not holding trials, because I mean, for all he knew, he could have won every single. Well, maybe Chambers, because he couldn't, he can control that. But I think he could have made the team even better.
Yeah, if he just did tryouts every once in a while just to see who's good.
Yeah.
Maybe have some
Just see if
backups
there's
in
any
case
new
somebody gets
blood.
hurt.
Honestly,
Yeah.
yeah. Like even like Ginny as like a second year would have been great. Like
Exactly.
sub her on when Harry has like detention, you know? Even something as simple as this as a captain, using another player as a impetus for Harry not getting detention. Not that that's ever going to stop Harry, but I'm like, Harry, we have Ginny, who's maybe not as great of a seeker as you, but she's pretty darn good. She's gonna later go on in her life and play professional Quidditch, Harry. We have this great player that we can have in reserves. So if you don't get your act together and behave in class, especially in Snape's class, then you're not going to be on the team anymore. And I'm sure
Harry would let her use his broom.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, not at that point, not his third year. The crush isn't developed yet.
No. I think Harry's a nice enough guy who's like, hey, I'm not going to use it.
Yeah, that's true.
Might as well help the team because he was a team player.
Yeah.
Jenny could play in the second year. She was busy killing roosters.
Yeah.
Yes, she was.
No, that was her first year. In Harry's second year, or in her second year. She was too traumatized from that. Still getting over it. And I don't know if she would have been great because she would have been like starstruck with Harry still. She was still in that phase, not in her like confident phase yet. So.
Yeah, and now thinking about it, I mean, in sixth year we hear about all these new players that come on, and like Dean is this like he seems like a pretty good Quidditch player, but we don't ever hear him playing Quidditch ever.
Yeah.
And he's from a Muggle family. How did he even learn to play Quidditch well? When did that happen? Does Hooch do in private lessons? What's going on?
Yeah, seriously.
Over the summer at Seamus's.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You're right. Yeah, but then Dean got better than Seamus, which is crazy.
I know.
Never know. Some people are just athletically inclined.
That's so true. He played soccer, so.
Yeah. He knows a little bit of the ground rules. I feel like soccer and Quidditch are a little bit comparable.
I could play sports for years and still suck at it. So I am not athletically inclined.
So true.
Again, this is like these are very Quidditch centric chapters, but what else did you guys see in the chapter? This is the Halloween chapter, kind of when they become friends at the very end. It's a great line.
Totally unrelated, and it's kind of gross. I was thinking about whenever like owl deliveries, like everybody knows birds poop. Why are we having all these birds flying around people's food? I don't know. That was just an errant thought that I had. I'm like, owl poop?
It's a great question.
I like to think that these owls know where to poop.
They're intelligent. They're more.
Yeah,
they're so.
Well, yeah, they deliver letters. They know addresses. So why wouldn't they know where to poop?
Here's new headcanon. The poop flies up to the roof and becomes the candles. So they're just burning owl poop candles.
Great Hall.
Yeah.
Awful.
That's why everything from this level just floats up.
Like, of course, there's a magical solution to this, but that was just as I was making notes. I just literally on my paper it says owl poop ? So I don't know.
And there's going to be here's the other thing though. There's going to be a lot of owl down that gets into people's food and stuff.
Yeah, it's true.
That just flies off their wings.
That's just part of the Wolverine diet.
That was pretty gross. I think in the fourth movie where Harry goes into the owlry for the first time and you see the poop that's like literally layered on each other. I'm like, every once in a while, someone go in there and hit Scourgify. That is disgusting.
Yeah. They just try to get Filch to scrub that by hand.
I just feel so bad for Filch. The one scene in the very last movie that's in the movies when he's sweeping, I'm like, it's a school full of witches and wizards, and they're literally watching this man sweep the floors. I'm like, poor guy.
Relax.
And then they might be more inclined to help.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, karma's a bitch. So.
Yeah.
That's a great point, though. That's funny. What else do you guys see in this chapter? Go ahead, Kev.
In terms of brooms, what is the scaling for pricing? I'm wondering because everyone's saying, "Oh, the Nimbus is the most expensive, the best." But how much more expensive is it compared to the Clean Sweep 7 or Clean Sweep 11?
Did it
Is
say
it
how
10
much
times more?
Before did they ever mention how much the Nimbus 2000 cost, or even the Firebolt? Did anybody know?
A Firebolt.
I'm looking it up right now.
I don't think
probably like
It's
2,000
on request.
gallons.
Yeah. Yeah, Firebolt was price on request, which is anytime you see
Yeah,
that.
that's I remember.
that's
Okay, I
right.
remember.
That's
okay,
pricey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what would be top
And
end?
Firebolt is
So
yeah.
the Nimbus 2000. They don't actually say the prices, but these are just like rough guesses based on people that have researched the economy of the Wizarding World.
Economists in the Wizarding
So
World.
the Nimbus 2000 was roughly 150 galleons.
What? That's nothing. Wait, that's crazy. Isn't that like
Nimbus,
not much at all?
yeah, Nimbus
How much were the
2001 was about
Omni-
180 galleons, and the Firebolt was 300 galleons. But I've seen higher prices for the Firebolt on other websites.
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, Wizarding economy is crazy. 300 galleons for the Firebolt. I mean, that's like 30 omnioculars. I mean,
I was gonna say because an omniocular costs 10 gallons.
right. I
I mean,
don't know.
Firebolt is a professional grade broom. Why would
Yeah.
it be
Right.
only 300 galleons?
And that brings up another idea. When you're talking about manufacturers, is the Firebolt is that the Firebolt brand? Like, how did a random brand just come out of nowhere and become the best broom in the world? That doesn't seem to make any sense.
I love that. I kind of love that behind the story. Like, there's definitely the Firebolt is definitely one guy in his basement coming up with the greatest broom of all time who's obsessed with this. And then he is trying to knock down the big Nimbus and Clean Sweep companies. And all of a sudden he stumbles
Right.
across this great thing and he publishes his paper, starts producing.
It's Ford versus Ferrari, except it's Firebolt versus Nimbus.
Yeah, exactly. We'll make that movie, Firebolt versus Nimbus.
Yeah,
Nimbus.
I've seen prices as high as like 7,000 galleons for the Firebolt.
That sounds about right.
That sounds better. That sounds.
Yeah.
It's more. I equivalent it to like a. That's not a word, but to a car. Because it's a mode of transportation. It's
Yeah.
very everybody has them. It's a very delicate instrument. It's. Yeah, I don't know. Lost my train of thought, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. The pricing is always
But also,
interesting.
it has to have an upper limit because Sirius was using Harry's funds, right? So.
Wait. Sirius is using.
I think
No,
Sirius-
Sirius.
Sirius just bought it. I think Sirius just bought it himself.
Oh, my bad.
That was a theory with McGonagall. McGonagall was using Harry's
With
funds
the Nimbus.
with the Nimbus.
Gotcha.
But
Possibly.
yeah,
We
possibly.
don't know that.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think that's a little.
I take that back. So there
I think
was
she's
no
too
upper
good of a
limit because
gambler.
he's got lots of cash.
Yeah. I think it was like a drop in the bucket with Sirius. Those rich wizarding families. I was actually curious too because we just hit this chapter in Deathly Hallows, but I wonder where the Black's vault is. I wonder if it's in the same vicinity as the Lestrange vault. Because how many vaults did they say? There was like 5 vaults down there or
Probably.
something?
Yeah.
So,
Probably.
Yeah, some of the oldest
I would-
families are kind of grouped together. I don't see why it would be separate. That
Yeah.
far away from the Lestrange vault.
so we touched on some of the Quidditch stuff. I want to touch on the House Cup stuff. How terrible is the point system? I know we've talked about this before, but the point system for Hogwarts is just dreadful. It is so bad.
I think it's almost awful on purpose.
Yeah. I think,
know?
I think someone mentioned this before, but I like the idea of what year you're in depends on the exponential level of the points that you get. So like first years can never really get more than 5 taken away or 5 added. Second years, maybe it's 10, third years, 15. It just keeps on going in increments. I kind of like that idea.
Damage,
And then
I guess.
McGonagall takes away 150.
Yeah, McGonagall is just like, nope, bypassing all the rules.
Yeah.
Other schools in the UK have like point systems like this, or other schools that have they don't do this kind of thing in the US. The whole premise of like houses and being separated like that was totally foreign to me whenever I read the books. As an American, like especially going to public school, like you're just you're part of the grade, like it's all everybody's in the same, So we don't have like point systems or anything. So I'm just curious if like other schools actually have that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's like if anything, it's a private school thing. I didn't have this experience, but my roommate, I think he went to a private school in the United States, of course. But he had these like houses that they would be separated into. And I mean, it wasn't a boarding school, so they weren't living with them, but they would do like inter-house like competitions and things like that, and they'd win different prizes and kind of,
Yeah.
and I guess also to win the respect of their peers if they won
I
certain
like the idea of it because
Well,
it seems like it makes things more interesting.
I've
But-
known a couple people in the UK that even at public school they have to wear uniforms and they get sorted into sort of groups.
Hmm.
Interesting.
I wouldn't call them
Yeah.
houses. They weren't like boarding schools or anything, but it's like you're part of this group and you're part of that group. Blah blah blah.
In the States, this is
I mean,
like
we had-
summer camp to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
we
used
had
to have like
houses.
in our. Sorry, you can go.
No, I was just saying we had houses and inter-house competition. We didn't have this entire like house cup as a thing, but we definitely had houses and inter-house
Hmm.
competitions and stuff.
Yeah, we had the same. Like we had, especially in primary school, like so we would be separated in like depending on how big the school is. So in my school we had like 2 classes, and then in the class we would be like in groups as well. So like rows in the class, like we used to usually color code it, and then you would like if this teacher would say like silent, whoever like whose group, well, like I mean we were very young, but like whoever group like were silent the quickest would get like a point. So it's like point systems as well and stuff like that. So we used to do stuff like that. Also color coded, and that was your group throughout the year. And at the end of the year, like the group with the most points would win something.
Yeah, I went
Like
to too
that.
small of a school to try to do anything like that. My graduating
We
class
had,
was
like,
45 people. So it's
So our public schools, we have uniforms and stuff like that as well. We don't. It's not just private schools. So our we have like school colors and stuff like that as well, and have like like the schools will have like inter-house competitions, and then in the school itself as well.
Yeah, that's cool. Wish we had done something like my school was massive.
Hmm.
We didn't really have, I don't know. There was like 900 people in my class, so
Wow, it's huge.
it was very
It's huge.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, it makes the learning experience more fun. I remember, I mean, even it wasn't official, but I remember in 3rd grade, our teacher was getting kind of unhappy that we weren't studying for our spelling tests. And so she divided us into groups. I think our class was like 20 people or something. And so she divided us into like groups of 4. And then she was like, okay, whichever group does the best on these spelling tests over the course of these several months, you guys will get a special pizza prize. And then we like all grinded for these spelling tests every single week. And I mean, it worked. So
definitely motivates the people that have the very like competitive type of
Yeah,
personality.
yeah.
Well,
For sure.
when I was in 6th grade, they did that with like reading books, but it was just like one class that did that. So it's not.
In America, they put
It
you.
reminds me more of summer camp.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm thinking. Summer camp is definitely all about that. In America, they put you in this fast and this slow group. You're either in the Blue Jays or the Cardinals for reading groups.
Oh yeah, they lump you together based on intelligence.
Yeah. Pseudo intelligence. It's not really intelligence, but it's like how fast you can read. You know.
It's just yeah.
I read so many books. We had extra recess and pizza parties like every week because of me and 2 other
Yes.
people.
You were the guy. Everyone loved you in the class.
I was gonna say everybody loved that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
What else did you guys see in this chapter? What other good points?
I was wondering how Quirrell got the troll in.
It's a great question.
Yeah.
I've
Oh,
always
he's
thought it
already-
was like using like a disillusionment charm or something like that, maybe. But even
How could
then, I mean, it's
Dumbledore.
huge. You know?
Not even disillusionment, but just like confundus. He might have used the Imperius curse.
I think
as
that's
well,
very
so.
plausible.
How though? Like, who would he use the Imperious Curse on?
Troll?
The troll.
But so yeah, he's using it on the troll, so that makes sense. Even if he uses it or not, how does he get it in the
But, like
castle?
logistically, how are you gonna get this thing past everybody?
Yeah, like
without-
Well, he was supposed to put a troll as part of one of the trials to get to the mirror.
so how are they
So
not
he was always-
unbelievable?
he
Is
was
this the
already
same
set up to
troll?
bring a troll in.
Is it the same troll?
I think it would have to be, right? No?
Oh, it might be. I didn't
How
think
many
about
trolls
that.
they got like roaming around, or
So maybe that's why no one thought crazy of it, because he brought the troll in for that, and then maybe they say it got loose. Maybe he was already,
Okay.
because it was already
already
guarding
down
Fluffy.
there.
Yeah, it was already down
Maybe
there.
it was already down there, like part of like the
No,
you know. And
Was
then,
it already down there?
No, I don't think the trials were set up until after Christmas.
But the only thing is we see Fluffy. So we already are introduced to Fluffy, but the Mirror of Erised hasn't been put down there. So maybe they're doing the things in phases, and maybe because
That first troll has a concussion anyway, so he can't do anything.
what was that?
Fluffy,
It's fine. I said he has a concussion anyway, so he can't do anything.
Yeah.
also, I think Fluffy was just there to get students used to not going through that door.
That's a pretty extreme reason to like let students know that you can't go through this door. You go through that door. I mean, if you tell me I can't go to the third floor corridor, I'm going to the third floor corridor, and then I'm going to be met by a 3-headed dog who could kill me. That's a little extreme, I think.
Yeah, you open the door, you see a big Cerberus, and you shut the door.
Yeah, I don't know.
Plus, it was
They're
quote
definitely
unquote
stronger-
locked.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely stronger protections you could put on to just even prevent them from even getting through the door in the first place.
Yeah.
All the trials are entirely useless, anyways. We can get to this when we get to those chapters.
That's true.
Like it's
Yeah, they kind of are. They're like pretty elementary, I think. But that's interesting. So do you, the only thing of it being, it wasn't there yet, and like maybe Quirrell's bringing it in, is he was the one that went and alerted everyone. So that
well, yeah,
even
they were having a big feast.
But that's alarming to
So
me that
maybe-
Quirrell was the one that freaked out about it when Quirrell is supposed to have the best aptitude with trolls. Doesn't that put them immediately on guard, being like, okay, why is Quirrell, the person who's supposedly really good at trolls and who set this thing up, running out and freaking out because there's a troll in the dungeon?
I don't know, man. It's
How does
book for
Dumbledore?
11-year-olds.
No. That's an excuse. That's a cheap excuse. We don't take that here. We dive into everything.
Too easy.
Yeah, it's way too easy of an
maybe
answer.
It makes it more worrisome, you know. If Quirrell
Yeah.
can't handle it, then it must be a even
Yeah.
bigger problem they ever could have imagined.
But
Maybe the
3
troll,
first
like,
years
I
can.
don't know, like somehow reproduced down there, and then like there's more trolls. Like there's like 4 or 5 trolls. You know, you can't handle them all at once. You know.
Family of trolls in the dungeon.
Ew.
Maybe he was transporting it in a crate and using some sort of levitation charm.
Hmm.
And it got out. It like woke up before he expected it to.
Yeah, maybe it
And
was
then
like
it got out.
got off his tranquilizer meds or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. There, is that
Maybe.
better?
I like that. That's a little better theory than it's a book for 11-year-olds. Come on. That's interesting.
Yeah, maybe it's like the Velociraptor in Jurassic Park, and there was just like a slight opening and it could break through.
Mm. Do you guys think that you could take on a fully grown mountain troll?
No.
With magic, yeah.
With
Yes,
magic?
with magic.
Because they're like they pretty much know one spell, and luckily enough, that's the spell that gets them by. I'm like, that is just great. That's perfectly convenient, but that kind of blows my mind too.
I'm South
Yeah,
African,
why did
so
the
I'll just
troll
tackle
still
it.
have a club? Why didn't you disarm the troll?
Yeah, I mean, in Hogwarts Legacy, it takes like 1,000 base
Yeah.
attacks to kill it. So
And they're like mobile. They can run fast. They're like, yeah, fully grown mountain trolls in Hogwarts Legacy are really tough. Way more than 5 points. They should be like, I should just automatically give you the house cup.
Now that you mention it, just think, so the fact that you only gave them 5 points never actually bothered me, because imagine she gave them 50 points. How much trouble would the twins have gotten in to get the same amount of points if they ever heard that they got 50 points from
Yeah.
defeating a troll?
That's true. They're looking for danger now. They're like accidentally letting trolls into the castle so they can defeat them and get more points.
And I'm like, okay, so Harry got 50 points, so what can we do?
That's
To get
actually-
you have these
the same.
elaborate scenarios to like save somebody.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
That's actually an interesting point. I had never really thought about it in that way, but that's fascinating. Maybe she's being
Yeah.
smart in the moment.
Yeah. Just,
Yeah,
well,
like-
it is also for sheer dumb luck,
Mm.
as she says.
I love that line. I love how she delivers it in the movies too.
Hmm.
I like how they also like he goes, Harry did something that was both very brave and very stupid.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hmm.
He just kind of just impulsively just was like, this seems like a good idea right now. Let's do that.
Mm.
Well, he's a Gryffindor.
Yeah,
No.
jump first thing. Like, there's, yeah, it was just funny. That whole scene is just actually really funny when you stop and think about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of spell work here, the first spell they ever learned in Wingardium Leviosa, I was just curious what you guys thought about spell work and kind of what goes into it. I mean, it seems like there are several components. There's the wand work, there's the waving of the wand, there's the way you say the word, and then there's maybe some sort of like intention that goes behind it. And so I don't know what kind of mix and match there is, and maybe that differ between when you're doing transfiguration versus doing charms. I mean, if you're making a pineapple tap dance across the desk, I mean, maybe you got to like think of something like, I don't know, cute or like charming, or I don't know, something like in your mind. Think of something. Maybe imagine tap dancing in your head.
Mm.
I think the wand waving is less important. It's still important. You have to get it at least close. But I think the intention and the thoughts of the incantation are more important.
Mm.
Like when it came to like, I always thought like when we forget where we were talking about it, but we were talking about like what kind of magic you would like to see more of. Like I would like to see like more cooking. I love cooking, and so I like the idea of like what are the mechanics behind like the cooking spells. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I cook and clean all the time, so that's what I'm thinking about because those are my daily tasks. You know, I always wondered like if I had a wand, like what could I do with it, cooking wise, or stuff like that. Like what would the charms that would be, or would it be transfiguration, or would it be like a mixture of both, or I don't know.
I think it's charm work.
I like in Fantastic Beasts too when Queenie makes the like what is it, like the apple dish or whatever, and it looks so good, and she like waves her wand. It's like
one of my yeah. That was so cool.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm fat inside. I love food, so.
Also, if you're magically cooking food, do you just have like an automatic timer, or like do you have to pay attention to how it cooks still?
I think so.
I think maybe it's a mixture of, I don't know.
7 clockwise and 8 anti-clockwise stirs.
It's kind of like maybe it's like a mixture of like even like potion skills even mixed into it. I don't know.
I always thought too that I don't necessarily know the legitimacy of this, but I feel like there are some spells that you can just get and it's like easy and that you can always do those. And then like, casting your Patronus needs to be something of focus, that it doesn't matter how really good you are with that. If you don't have a good memory, you're not going to be able to cast one. So like even Legacy shows this, like the motion of the wand, or like the way you wave your wand matters. It like is significant for learning the spells, but then there has to be some kind of focus. But some like Lumos, I feel like you don't need that much focus for that. You just, say it and wave it in the right way, and you're good.
It's like a common knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Reparo, Alohomora.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like that basic level. Because even the Wissengamot, they were really, like impressed that Harry could produce a corporeal Patronus. They're like, wow, you can actually do that. And these are fully grown, fully qualified wizards, and they're probably like, I don't even know how to do that, or
I love that scene. That's one of my favorites, where they're like so impressed that they're stopping the trial, and Harry's like, will you shut up and let me defend myself? And they're like, wait, you can really do a full corporeal Patronus? And they're like, yes, here's my defense.
Yeah, love Madame.
Well, they've also never need to do it. They just, it was never necessary for them. Harry was straight up being attacked by Dementors.
So it became a need.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about, going back to like the cooking timer stuff, if you're like making a Patronus and, for example, sending a message, maybe there's some kind of timer you put on the Patronus that at some point it will disappear. And so maybe it's some similar form of magic where if you're telling, okay, pan cook this for 7 minutes, and you can kind of like, as you practice more and more, you can kind of just get it to automatically stop at that certain minute, So yeah.
Wish I could spend more time down in the kitchens to like
Yeah.
see how they do everything. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably what the elves are doing, huh? I mean, they're every day they're just cooking and getting their
Yeah.
cooking magic XP up.
I want a house elf so bad.
I like
I know it sounds terrible. I treat my house elf really well.
Oh
I
wow.
was gonna
But,
say,
like,
We need to discuss the morality of this one right now.
Yeah. No, I would take my house elf to like Disneyland and everything. But it's just like, I'd have
Just
them
all the
fed
rides.
well.
different. It would be
anything.
different if like they were like Dobby and they didn't want to do it, but if they're like
Yeah.
Winky and they really, really, really want to do it, I'd still treat her just like the best thing in the world. Like you
Yeah.
are more important.
It's like a little dog who can talk, you know.
Yeah,
Oh.
well, I'd rather a Dobby where you'd be like, I don't want to do that today. All right, that's cool, bud.
I just need somebody to do laundry. I'm good on
Yeah.
everything else.
Mm. Yeah, I'm excited to talk about how the whole house elf discussion when we get to the house elf
When we get
liberation
to the
front.
spew section.
Yes, yeah. Did you guys have anything else in this chapter before we go to our favorite quotes?
No, these chapters are pretty basic.
Yeah.
Just how legendary Charlie Weasley is at Quidditch. He's mentioned like
Yeah.
so much as being the best of the best of the best.
Is this the last time that they mention him being the best of the best of the best, though?
I feel like it's
I don't
Or do
know.
they still
Something
talk
to
about him in later
track.
books?
I feel like it's sprinkled tinily in other books. But this might be one of the last ones, but he really is like a legend. They mention him all the time in these
He's a legend.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
It would have been fun to watch him
Harry
play.
takes that title.
Yeah, for sure. Harry, what did he lost one game that he was a part of, right?
Yeah, because he was attacked by Dementors.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and Cedric wanted to take it back, so he really probably wouldn't have lost that game. But Harry's record is pretty incredible. I always think that he should go play Quidditch.
Cracked in the head by.
That's right. Yeah. So when he's like conscious, he's pretty much undefeated. But I would love to see. Maybe this is like again nerdy because I kind of love this kind of stuff. But like an alumni game. Like, is there a homecoming weekend at Hogwarts where everyone comes back and they play like a Quidditch alumni game? Because I would love to see like Charlie Weasley play again, and for like everyone knows he's a legend. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see Charlie versus Harry.
Yeah. Seriously.
I was also very surprised that Harry didn't try to become a professional Quidditch player.
Yeah, for sure. He's too justice oriented, I guess.
But he loves it so much. I
He's-
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he spent
But he does.
7 years fighting the dark arts.
Yeah.
Take a break, become a professional Quidditch player for a couple years, then
Yeah.
become an Auror.
Honestly, yeah, how fun would it be that there was like this would be the coolest story ever if there was a Bulgarian versus English match in the Quidditch World Cup, and then all of a sudden Harry's facing off against Victor Crumb for like the Seeker to Seeker. That would be so fun. They played each other when they were kids in the Triwizard Tournament. Now they're playing each other as adults in the Quidditch World Cup.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. I agree. I kind of wish Harry did it because that's truly like where he feels most free, like where he's not thinking about stuff, where he can play Quidditch. And I wish he went and played pro.
Sounds like
Oh,
a
that's-
fan fiction story waiting to be written.
I know.
Yeah.
But that's another thing about Quidditch. Like, how long can your career be? Because there are some injuries that happen for sure, but it's not like football where you're getting CTE all the time.
Yeah.
So how long?
Well, you might be, to be
How-
honest. I mean,
Bludgers.
I don't know, the bludgers.
Yeah.
I was gonna say you get nailed.
Yeah,
with
but
a
how
bludger.
often are you getting hit by a bludger?
Probably pretty often. I feel like if there's a good,
At least a couple of times, yeah.
Especially if you're a
Yeah, but
seeker.
also
Mhm.
they have magic, so it's the CTE.
They
not
just
exist in the
wave.
wizarding
Yeah,
world?
there's this a concussion protocol counter spell that you're good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
undimensional.
exactly.
Yeah, there's probably a potion for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And literally all the telepathies. It's so great.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if there's an answer for this.
Does anybody know what position Jenny played when she plays professionally?
I think Chaser.
Chaser, right? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's Chaser. But honestly, I feel like she could be Chaser or Seeker. Either one, it should be pretty good.
I think she said she likes Chaser better, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, she did say that.
All right. So apparently, Victor Crumb retired at 38. And he was the oldest Quidditch player
That's
at
crazy.
that point.
He's like LeBron.
Yeah, for real, LeBron. I love that he won. He came back because I think he retired early, and then he came back and led Bulgaria to the Quidditch World Cup and then won it. Then I love that so much. I'm like, that's such a great sports story. Again, so nerdy with these like dumb little
Wait,
sports
sorry,
things.
Yeah.
where are you getting that from?
I think she wrote it. It was like post, like she wrote like lore on Victor Crumb. I think it's on Wizarding World
Oh.
somewhere or something.
Okay.
It's so
Cool.
good.
I gotta check that out.
Yeah. So yeah, Victor retired, came out of retirement, and then won the 2014 Quidditch World Cup.
2014. That's crazy.
I know, that is crazy. We could all been there, guys. Come on, man.
Well, 2014. Yeah, I was 21. I could have totally been there.
Yeah, I mean, I think one big question I have is how physical the game actually is. I mean, we know that you'll probably get messed around by the bludger a couple of times, but
Mm.
I mean, how much exertion does it take to, fly around on a broom? I think some people have the impression that, it's just, kind of effortless. You don't really have to put any physical effort behind moving around, but it seems like every time they come back from practice, they're exhausted.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like you'd have to put a lot more energy into it than you think.
Yeah,
That's,
and
yeah,
we
that's what I think,
and we know from the books like you can't rough other players up too much,
Mm.
like physically. So
I feel like I would kind of equate it a little bit to skiing in that sense. Like if I don't ski or snowboard that much, but when I've gone, I've been so sore after, and it's like the snowboard or the ski is doing all the work for me. Why am I so sore?
Yeah.
Because you got to use abs, your legs, like everything's still involved, and it's like exhausting at the
yeah,
same
you got to
time.
use all your stabilizer muscles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what you do on a broom.
Gotcha.
Or like bobsled or luge, where you actually
Yeah.
have to like anticipate and like there's a lot of athleticism to it. You
Yeah.
think it's just like sledding down a chute, but it's actually pretty involved.
Yeah.
I always thought it was
I-
pretty physical.
Yeah.
I used to bomb hills on a longboard a lot, and yeah, it's a lot of like you're doing like you're doing like half a wall sit the entire time.
Yeah, it's tiring.
Just crouch
Yeah.
down and like
Yeah.
working all those
Well, let
stabilizer
alone like
muscles. So
like throwing and catching balls and like
Yeah.
changing direction fast and
That's
like
true, yeah.
dodging
Yeah.
bludgers. I mean,
Rotator
like,
cuff would actually be
whack.
kind of messed up after
Yeah.
many years of
Yeah.
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 Dang.
Honestly,
Yeah.
like your neck too. Like at 32 years old, I would like turn my neck real quick in the other direction. I'd like pull a muscle. I'll be out for like the week, you know? I'm like,
Yeah, for
oh
weeks.
gosh.
I've done that sleeping.
Yeah.
Okay? You wake up and you're like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, what did I
All did
dream
was roll
about?
Over.
yeah,
But,
I've
when
had-
you're a teenager, like you roll your ankle and you're fine 12 hours later. That would
Yeah.
put most of us
Yeah.
a week.
I've thrown my back out while on the toilet.
Yeah, seriously. Ridiculous. Hey, middle
All right, my let's go favorite lines and then let's go on to the next one because we were going to talk about Quidditch more in the next chapter as well. But my favorite line of this chapter is the last line. I think this is one of the greatest lines in the book, to be honest. But from that moment on, Hermione Granger became their friend. There are some things you can't share without ending up liking each other, and knocking out a 12-foot mountain troll is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great line. I love that.
Yeah.
My favorite, well, that was one of my favorites, but the other one I had written down was, don't worry, the Weasleys are more than a match for the Bludgers. I mean, they're like a pair of human Bludgers themselves.
That was a good one.
Like, I
Yeah.
can't imagine anybody
One
else
of my
being-
favorites is when one of my favorites is when Professor Flitwick catches Harry and Malfoy sort of arguing,
Mm.
and Harry says, "It's really thanks to Malfoy here that I got it about the broom."
Love that.
there's a great Percy line when the troll is let out and all that, and then there's just one line at a single paragraph that says Percy was in his element. It's so funny.
Just visualize him just being like, "This is my time."
He has never been more ready for this singular moment.
There's never been a more self-important role ever written. It's great.
I heard once during his audition that the way he got the role of Percy was because they like gave him something to do on the fly that was like, oh, what would you do in this situation if you were Percy? And I remember he was like sitting there and he was like literally thinking through it, and he was like, well, he's like, Dumbledore would have told me if this was the case. And I was like, they were like, that is such perfect Percy. They're like, you got the role right after that. It was so great.
I would have known.
Yeah. Any other favorite lines?
There's one. It's it says the troll couldn't feel Harry hanging there, but even a troll will notice if you stick a long bit of wood up its nose. Harry's wand had still been in his hand. Yeah, and it gone straight up one of his nostrils. I thought that was really funny. She's just so good with visuals, you know?
Yeah. After getting like COVID tests where they shoved that thing up your nose, I'm like, that'd be the worst. Getting a whole wand shoved up your nose.
So there's a trick called I think it's called the blockhead, where you put a nail in your nose.
Oh gosh.
And it uses the same flap that they do for like COVID tests. And you can stick stuff in your nose way farther than you think.
Oh, I don't even want to know about that.
Why would you do that?
Because I used to do magic at bars for drinks.
Bar tricks, yeah. Not bad.
Solid reason.
Yeah.
Did you do the sword down your throat thing?
No, I never trusted myself with like sword swallowing.
He's like, I drew the line at swords.
Yeah.
Nails were cool.
I would eat light bulbs, put nails in my
Gosh.
nose.
Eat light bulbs.
Actually, like, pretty cool.
Yeah. It's a lot easier than you think. Just make sure you don't have any cavities or fillings, because it's gonna wreck that.
Oh my gosh.
Now.
Yeah.
I'm sure your digestive system just loved that.
Oh no, because
that's why he pulled a muscle in the bathroom.
The whole key to eating light bulbs is you chew it up really, really, really fine. So it's essentially back to sand, which is how you make glass. And then, yeah. So.
I love this. What a way to end this discussion on the podcast. The next one we're gonna have to watch you, so you have to go get a light bulb right now and then turn your camera on, and then we'll watch you eat a light bulb.
No, I can't do it right now. I have some cavities and like a bad tooth, so it, like chunks of glass will get caught.
He's like, oh, maybe next time.
Yeah.
David Blaine does a frog. You could do that.
Oh gosh, that's right. I've seen that.
That one's actually that one's easier than eating glass, actually.
What?
Okay. Well, you could do that one. You don't.
Oh my
You
God.
could do it with cavities.
Yeah, but I don't want to puke in front of you guys.
Yeah, that'd be great.
You don't want that
You don't
either.
mind.
All right, well, let's end this here. Unless you guys have any other good quotes that you want to read. Any last quotes before we end it and go on to the next chapter? All right. Well, let